Today's story is the three languages. The three languages. Three languages. You know, the language is like Japanese language, Chinese language, Italian language, Turkish language. Okay, so the different languages. But this story, the three languages are not these kind of languages. Okay. It is a story from Switzerland. Switzerland. You know, Switzerland? Switzerland is surrounded by Germany, Austria, Italy, and France. 4 different countries. And so the people there speak 3 different languages, maybe. I have a friend who is from Switzerland. His name is Ulz, and he speaks beautiful English. And of course he speaks German, and I'm sure he speaks something else, Italian or French too. But anyway, a long time ago in Germany, oh no, not in Germany, sorry. A long time ago in Switzerland, there was a man. Let's see. There was a man, and this man, he was, he was a count. Count is a social, a name of a social status, like king, the prince, and then there must be something like a duke and earl, count, something like that. So different levels, statuses. Okay, the nobleman. 5 ranks of nobility, rank. Yeah. So he was a count. It is in Chinese or in Japanese. It is like this. It's a difficult kanji, difficult Chinese character. This is count. Okay. Anyway, he was a count. You know, in Sesame Street, there is a guy called Count Dracula. Okay, so he counts 1, 2, 3, 4. He counts, but his ranking, his social status is a count. It's like a prince or duke or count, baron type of thing. But anyway, he was a count, and so he was rich, and he was high up on the social status. Okay, and so he lived in a big palace, and he had lots of money, and he had many servants and things like that. But anyway, this count, he had a son. He had a boy, a son, and he was this man's only son. Only son means he only had 1 child. Or maybe he had girls, but maybe he had only 1 boy. So this boy was this man's only son. Okay? But father thought this boy was not smart. He was not smart. Okay? He was not very good. He was not very good in the brain. He was not smart. He was not very bright. He was not very brilliant. He was stupid. He was stupid. He was dumb. Okay, he was duh. The count thought his only son was stupid. And so the count said to the boy, he's a rich man, so he said to his son, he said, I am going to send you to, because it was in Switzerland, I think the man said to him, I'll send you to Germany, okay, another country. I'll send you to Germany and you will be taught. You go to a very important, famous teacher. You go to this very important, famous teacher. Eminent. Eminent means influential, very famous, very important, and a great man. So he said, go to this eminent teacher. Okay, this is an eminent teacher. Oh, I don't know. Eminent teacher. He said, go to this eminent teacher in Germany and learn from him. I will send you to him and I'll pay him lots and lots of money so he will teach you something very, very good. Go to this eminent master. Master means teacher. Okay? Go to this eminent teacher, master, and learn something. I'll send you to this person, to this teacher for 1 year. So the boy went to Germany to this eminent master, and he went there to learn something. Okay, the teacher taught him something. The young boy, youth. Okay, youth means the young man, young person. The youth went to the foreign country. Father sent him there. Well, 1 year later, okay, 365 days passed, and the boy came home. And so the father asked, what have you learned? What did you learn? Tell me, what did you learn? He said, he asked the boy. And then the boy said, oh, Father, I learned how to understand when dogs bark. Okay, dog, ruff, ruff, ruff. Dogs bark. Bark means ruff, 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 ruff. When the dogs speak. I understand the dog's language, the boy said to the father. He said, what? He said, that's not good enough. He said, now go to France and go to another, okay, not the same teacher because he was in Germany. So you go to another different eminent teacher, okay? Eminent master in France. And learn something. He said, I will pay for it. I will give him a lot of money. And so he will teach you something very valuable. So the boy went to this teacher in France and spent for 1 year, and he came back. Father asked, what did you learn? And the boy said, oh, Father, he said, I now know what birds, when the birds twitter or the birds chirps, when the birds sing, I understand what the birds are saying. I understood the language of the birds, he said to Father. See, his first year he learned the language of dogs, and then the second year he learned the language of birds. Well, he was not happy. The father was not happy. He said, I spent a lot of money for you. He said, I paid a lot of money to the teacher in Germany for 1 year's tuition. I paid a lot of money to the French teacher, teacher in France for 1 year the tuition. And you spent a lot of money staying in a foreign country for 1 year, for 2 years. You spent a lot of money, okay? You spent my money so freely. And he said, you're not a good boy, he said. You're not learning anything. You're not a very good boy. Father said, you are a prodigal son. Prodigal son means the person who spends recklessly the father's money, spends money like for gambling. He didn't go gambling, okay? But prodigal son means the child who spends his father's money freely, waste money recklessly. And so he was very angry, and he said to the boy, you are a prodigal son. You waste time and money. He said, you waste precious time, important time. Time passes very, very quickly, but the time is very important. Time is money. He said, you waste precious, precious. Precious time means important time, very important time. He said, you should be ashamed that you have learned the language of the dogs and language of the birds. Now he said, for the third time, I will send you to Italy. And I will send you to a different eminent teacher. This is another eminent teacher. And you will learn from him. He is an eminent teacher, master. You go to Italy and learn something from him. And so the father sent the boy to Italy, and he spent there for 1 year, and he came back. So father asked, what did you learn? And then the boy said, oh, Father, now I understand the language of frogs. Frog. Frog? Do you know what a frog is? You know, the frog. Quack, 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 frog. He said, I now understand the language of the frogs, he said. He said, I understand when the frog croak. Croak means quack, 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 quack. When the frogs croak, I understand what the frogs are saying. I understand the language of the frogs, he said. The father, he was very, very, very angry. He was very, very angry. He said, you are not good. You are not smart. You are stupid. He said, I don't want you to be my son anymore. You are no longer my son, he said. I don't like you anymore, he said. So the man, this man, he had this count had servants, you know, servants are the people who work for him. And so he called one of his servants, and he said to one of his servants, he said, take this boy, okay, this is his servant. He said to the servant, take my boy to the forest and bang, kill him. I don't like this boy. He's no good. He is a prodigal son. he spends so much money and he wastes it, and he wastes his time too, and he doesn't learn anything. So take this boy to the forest and bang, kill him, he said to the servant. Well, the servant said, okay, because he has to follow the master's order. And so the servant and the boy left the palace or the big house and went to the forest. Now, two people went to the forest. And they went to the forest. But the servant liked this boy. He did not dislike the boy. The servant had good feelings for the boy. The servant did not want to kill the boy. And so he said to the boy, you know, your father wants me to kill you, but I do not want to kill you. He said, I'll just kill an animal. I'll kill an animal, and I'll take the animal's tongue, cut the tongue, and then take the eyeballs, and then take those things to your father as the tokens. Okay, tokens. Tokens means evidence. Okay, to show him that I really killed you, but I don't want to kill you. He said, go, escape, run away, so that your father will not kill you. Okay? And so the servant, he killed a deer. Okay? You know what a deer is? A deer is an animal, yeah, with the horns. He killed the baby deer. Baby deer is called fawn. Okay, fawn. But anyway, he killed the baby deer and took the tongue and the eyeballs as tokens, and he went home and showed them to the father, the count, and said, I killed your son. Okay. Well, this boy, he left. He left. He went to the. He was abandoned in the forest, and he was walking. He was walking. Yes, he was walking and walking and walking. And then he came to a castle. He came to a castle. This was a big castle, and a king lived here. Okay. Now, the boy came to this castle, and he knocked on the door, and he said, let me stay in your house, in your castle. I don't have a place to stay, go to sleep. Let me stay in your castle, he said to the king. Well, the king said, okay, you can stay, but not in the castle. He said, I have a tower. Okay? There. I have a tower there. And you can go to that tower and stay overnight, he said. There's a door here. You can go in and stay. But he said, he said, there are some dogs who live there. Okay? The dogs live there. Okay. Ruff, 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 ruff. And these dogs are wild dogs, and They are wild dogs, and they are always ruff, 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 barking, ruff, ruff, ruff. They are always barking, barking. And he said, it's a very dangerous dog, but if it's okay, you can go there and sleep in this tower. The king said. So the the youth said, okay, give me some meat so I can just throw the meat to the wild dogs. And so the king gave him a piece of I don't know how large the chunk of meat was, but the king gave the youth, some food for the dogs, and then he went into the tower. Well, guess what? The dogs in the tower did not bark. Ruff, ruff. They did not bark at the young man. They came with their tail. This is their tail. This is tail. Their tail wagging. Wag. Their tails were wagging, and they came to the youth. So the youth gave the food to the dogs, the wild dogs, and then the youth stayed overnight in this tower. The next morning, the king came, and he said, "Are you all right? Didn't the wild dogs bite you?" Bite, bite. Okay. Bite you? And the youth said, "Oh no. I understand dogs. We're good friends. I understand dogs," he said. And so the king said, those dogs, they are always barking, ruff, 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 barking. And it's really noisy. I don't understand why they are barking so much, the king said. And the young man said to the king, "Oh," he said, "the reason why the dogs are barking all the time is because the dogs are saying, 'King, king, come, there is lots of treasure.'" Treasure means gold and silver and diamonds and money. Lots of treasure buried under the ground, under the tower. Come and get it. Come and get the treasure. The dogs were saying, "We are only guarding, protecting. We are protecting the treasure. You must come and take this treasure," the dogs are saying. The boy said to the king. King said, "Really?" And so immediately he went to the tower and he dug up the underground, and then he found treasure under the tower. After the king found the treasure, the dogs disappeared. Dogs disappeared, and the tower was very quiet. No more barking. No dogs were there, so no more barking, so it was very quiet. Well, the king was very, very happy because he found lots of treasure, and no dogs were barking anymore, and it was very quiet. And so the king said, "Wow, thank you very much." He said, "You know what?" he said, you can stay in my castle, and you can marry my daughter. You can marry one of my daughters. I'll give you one of my daughters." he said to the young man, the youth. So, the youth got married with the king's daughter, princess, and he began to live here. Well, see, his father, Count, thought he was stupid, but he wasn't stupid because he had learned the language of the dogs. Now he helped the king, and now he became the husband of one of the king's princesses. Well, that's not the end of the story. Well, he was there for a while, and the young man was very happy living with the princess in the castle. And then, okay, this is a castle, okay? So he lived here for a long time, I don't know if it's a long time, but maybe like 3-4 years. He was very happily living in this castle with the princess. But one day, he thought he wanted to go to Italy, okay? He was in Switzerland, but he wanted to go to Italy. He wanted to go to Rome, okay? He wanted to go to Rome. And so he got in the wagon, or he just got on the horse, I don't know. But he began to travel to Rome, okay, in Italy. Well, when he was traveling, he was not traveling, I don't think, with his wife. I don't remember. I don't think he was. I think he was just traveling by himself. So he was traveling. Let's see. This is his horse. Okay. And he was, okay. So this is his horse. And he was traveling with the horse. Okay. And then he came to a swamp. Swamp, marsh. Swamp is, okay, this, okay. Oh no, don't. Okay. It's not a lake. It's not a pond. It's not that much water. It's just a little bit of water and the mud around it. Okay, so he came to a swamp or marsh. And when he was walking by, or not walking, he was riding his horse by the marsh, he heard, guess what? Frogs were croaking. The frogs are quack, 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 quack. And he listened. Oh, he was not happy. He understood what the frogs were saying. He wasn't happy. But at the same time, he was a little bit troubled. Oh, no, I'm not sure. No, he was thinking. And then he came to Rome. He reached Rome, okay? He came to Rome, a city in Italy, Rome. And then when he came, there was a big cathedral. Cathedral? It's a temple. It's not a church. It's a church. Big Catholic church. He came to Rome, and then the people in Rome were crying. They were very, very sad, and they were crying. Many people were crying. Oh, they were not very happy. They were very unhappy. They were crying because Pope had died. Pope is like the highest person in the Catholic Church. It's like a bishop. It's like a minister in the church. It's like the priest, yeah? But the Pope is the top person in the Catholic Church. So, Pope, a person who is the highest ranking person in the Catholic Church. the Pope had died. And so everybody was very, very sad in Rome. And also, I'm sure everybody, Catholic people, were very sad all over the world. But anyway, they were very sad. And there were people outside of the church, and these were Pope's helpers. You know, these people, office people who helped Pope do his work. They are called cardinals. Cardinals. Okay, they were cardinals. Cardinals. These people were talking, and they were saying, "Oh no, Pope died. We must find another Pope. We must choose another Pope, the next Pope. Who is going to be next Pope?" They were discussing. Who is going to be the next one? Who is going to be the successor? Successor is the next person who is going to take that job, take that position. Successor. Okay? And they were saying, "Are you going to? Are you going to? Are you going to? We don't know who should be the successor for the next Pope." And then they said, "Maybe we should wait for the sign." Sign means, you know, the special mark. You know, we need to, like, somebody has to, I don't know, somebody has to come from heaven and say, "You are the one," or something. We have to look for a sign. They said, "We need a miraculous sign." Miracle. Miraculous. Okay, miraculous sign. Miracle. Very strange, very a special sign we have to see. They said. Now, the young man, the youth, came to this church. He got off from his horse and he went inside. Okay? When he went inside, these cardinals also went inside, and they were in the church. When this boy came into the church, okay, this young man came to the church, and then suddenly 2 birds came down from above. The 2 birds came down. Okay, birds. The birds. Birds. 2 birds came down, and then they sat on his shoulders. They perched. They perched on their shoulders. The 2 birds, these were not just regular birds. They were doves. Dove is a white bird. 2 white doves flew down and perched on the shoulders and stayed there. They didn't just fly away, they just stayed there. The cardinals looked at the birds, looked at the man with 2 white birds perched on his shoulders. And they thought, the cardinals thought, it was a miraculous sign. They thought that is the answer from heaven, saying that this man should be the next pope. And so the cardinals came to him and said, hey, they said, will you be the next pope? Oh, this man, the youth knew that they were going to ask him, because he understood what the frogs were saying. The frogs were saying at the marsh, they were saying, you are going to be the next pope. And that's why he said, no, I don't think so. He was thinking, he was sad the Pope died, but then he understood that the frogs were saying that he was going to be the next Pope. And he thought, no, I don't think so. I'm stupid. No? Well, the cardinals came and asked him, would you be the next Pope? He couldn't say yes, because he didn't know anything. He didn't know the language called Latin. Okay? He didn't know Latin language. He knew the language of the birds. He knew the language of the dogs. He knew the language of the frogs, but he didn't know Latin. Well, he was undecided. Undecided. He was undecided. He couldn't decide. He was undecided. He didn't think he was good enough. He did not think he was good enough. He didn't think he was worthy. Good. He didn't think he was worthy to become the next pope. So he said, no, I don't think so, he said to the cardinals. But the birds, I forgot, it's gone. The birds on the shoulders, the birds whispered, talked to him. The birds said to him, take the job. The birds whispered. Whisper means spoke very quietly. Take the job. They whispered to him, and they said, we will teach you. We will show you how to speak Latin. So become the Pope, these birds said. And so he said, okay, he accepted it. And then the cardinals, they had the ceremony. They anointed him. Anointed means put oil on the head to make him holy, to separate him from regular people. Anoint. So they anointed him and they consecrated him. Consecrate him means they made him a holy man. So consecrated him, and he performed a mass. He performed a mass means he sang a mass, means he did the ceremony for the Catholic Church. And when he did this, the two birds were on his shoulders, and the birds told him what to say, how to sing, how to do things. And so the young man, the youth, didn't know anything. He knew nothing about the church, but the birds told him everything, and the boy became the next pope. Although the father, the count, thought he was stupid, but the young man ended up becoming the Pope of the Catholic Church because he knew 3 languages. The end.